Mthokosizi Thwala, who is one of the people who was in the house when Senzo Meyiwa was killed, has taken the stand. Thwala says the soccer star was his friend and they had known each other since 2002. Our reporter Manqoba Mchunu is tracking developments in court for us. He joins us now from outside the High Court in Pretoria. Manqoba, Mthokosizi Thwala there towards the end, becoming very emotional. Can you describe this to us? Because obviously as the viewers, we don't get to see what you see in court.
Well, certainly, Masiho, and I think he got emotional at the point where he was talking about Senzo Meyiwa's final moments when they were rushing him to hospital. He had been sitting at the back of the car when, they arrived in the hospital. He says he had then checked Senzo Meyiwa. He had touched his hand to see if he was going to respond to him. He had done this earlier, and there was seemingly a response at that particular moment from Senzo Meyiwa. But when they arrived in hospital, he says this is when it became clear and it had dawned on him that Senzo Meyiwa was in fact either dead or could have been dying at that particular point. But he detailed the moments leading to that shooting on the 26th of October in 2014, how the day started with them from Barton, where Kelly and Senzo Khumalo had been staying, and up until the moment when they arrived in the Khumalo house. They had had supper there, and he says it's during that time that Longwe Thwala, who was the then boyfriend of Zandile Khumalo, had also come to join them in the house. And he says just as they were about to leave, they had been called inside the house by Kelly Khumalo. They had gone out previously to go and smoke. We understand that Tumelo Madlala had wanted to smoke. They had gone outside the house, and as they were about to get into the house, that's when they were then called by Kelly Khumalo inside the house to say their goodbyes. And he says that at that particular point, as Kelly Khumalo was still talking in the house, this is when he saw the first intruder behind Kelly Khumalo in the arc of the kitchen coming towards their direction. This particular intruder had then demanded cell phones and money. He says he saw that this intruder had been carrying a firearm, and he says moments after that, this is when the then boyfriend of Zandile Khumalo, Longwe Thwala, had then pushed one of the intruders. He managed to run outside of the house, and just moments after that, there was a scuffle, Masiho, that broke out in the house where Kelly Khumalo's mother also used crutches belonging to Tumelo Madlala to try and assault one of the intruders. And it was in those moments that he says he then had a gunshot going off, and ultimately after that, that's where he then ran outside the house. But let's take a listen to him describing those moments.
So yonke emotion ihamba kwenzeka yonke into fast engikhumbulayo engakuzi ukuthi ngezwe nje gunshot.
Okay, everything was in motion. It was just moving, and what I recall, I heard a gunshot.
And what was the respective positions of the people who were in the kitchen at that point?
Laba bantu ababese kitchen ke ngaleso sikhathi ke ema position abo aye kanjani?
Ekitchen noma ngisakhumbula phela ukuthi ama position ayi kanjani, kodwa ekitchen ngakusakhona uSenzo, uTumelo, suspect number 1, suspect number 2, uMakakheli no Zandi. I think no Kelly said uKelly ngamkhumbuli kahle, but I think naye wayekhona amongst, but ngikhumbula.
Although the positions I won't be able to remember, but the people that were still there, the very same people that were there, Tumelo, Senzo, suspect 1, suspect 2, Zandi's mother, Zandi's mother and Zandile. I think Kelly had also joined, but she's the person I can't remember, but I think she also joined them.
After hearing the gunshot, I think yathusa wonke umuntu.
After hearing the gunshot, I think it made everyone to be scared or shocked.
Ngoba kwaba khona ukuhlukana kuba khona kancane, mina ngikukhumbulayo nje ukuthi ngabaleka ngaphuma ngomnyango.
Because what I do recall is that there was some separation, and I ran out of the door.
Ngaphambana noSenzo, uSenzo eza ngala, ngishuthi ngizothi mangibuka lesithombe ngizothi eza ngasefrijini. But mina ngiphuma ngomnyango lo.
And my path crossed with that of Senzo. Senzo was coming, if I'm looking at the photo, Senzo was coming towards the fridge.
What I found interesting, Manqoba, is what Mthokosizi Thwala said about jumping a concrete wall and then back into the Khumalo house again. This is something that was described last week by Kaya. Am I correct?
Certainly, Masiho, and I think we heard the testimony from Kaya, who had also detailed what he saw on that night when that commotion had happened, when he had heard that unusual noise, which he said had come from the Khumalo house. And he says when they tried to go outside with his father to inquire as to what was going on, this is when they saw a man jumping over the fence, and they had then asked this man what he had been doing in their yard. And he explained, of course, that there was an issue that was happening at the Khumalo household at the time. He really didn't give much detail, but he then jumped back to the Khumalo household. So this seemingly does corroborate that particular evidence from Kaya, and suggesting, in fact, that the man who had jumped over that fence was indeed Tumelo Madlala. Of course, he's still detailing the moments that Senzo Meyiwa, his final moments as he was being rushed to hospital. And of course, we are also expecting to hear just what happened after they arrived in hospital. I think where he stopped was around the news that were delivered to them by the doctor, confirming to them that Senzo Meyiwa had in fact died. And we're expecting, of course, to hear more evidence as to what unraveled moments after those news were broken.
All right, Manqoba Mchunu live for us outside the High Court in Pretoria. Let's leave it there for now.